Ella
I
stepped
think
into
that
the
went well.
elevator of the
Agreed, the
towering
projections were
glass
solid.
building.
Great,
Just
let's
as the
debrief
clock
tomorrow.
struck 9,
Sounds good.
the lobby was nearly
Oh my
empty,
God.
and the soft
is it?
hum of the city
know we're
echoed
here.
faintly through
Stay
the
calm.
walls.
We'll get out.
She pressed the button for the 32nd floor, her shoulders heavy with exhaustion after another long shift. As the doors were about to close, a man slipped inside at the last second. He wore a tailored dark suit, his presence calm yet commanding. He gave a polite nod but said nothing. The elevator began its smooth ascent, numbers glowing softly above the doors. Ella leaned against the wall, scrolling mindlessly on her phone. Suddenly the lights flickered once. Twice a loud metallic jolt shook the cabin, and the elevator screeched to a halt. Ella gasped, her phone slipping from her hand. "Is this normal?" she asked. Her voice trembling, the man quickly pressed the emergency button. "His movement steady, it's okay," he said in a low, reassuring tone. "These systems are designed for safety. We'll be fine," despite his calm words. Panic tightened Ella's chest. She had always feared small spaces. The air felt heavier, the silence louder. The man noticed her distress and stepped back slightly, giving her space. Taking a deep breath. He said gently, "What's your name, Ella?" she replied, forcing herself to inhale slowly. "I'm Adrian," he said. "Nice to meet you even under strange circumstances." Minutes passed with no response from outside the city. Lights peeked through the narrow crack between floors, casting long shadows inside the elevator. Ella tried calling her manager, but there was no signal. Frustration and fear washed over her. "I really can't afford to be late again," she murmured, more to herself than to him. Adrian glanced at her, curiosity flickering in his eyes. "Long day," she nodded. "Long life," she said with a tired smile. "I work 2 jobs, this one barely pays rent, but it's all I have right now." He listened intently, not checking his watch or phone, as if time outside the elevator no longer mattered. "That takes strength," he said. "Most people don't talk about their struggles. They hide them." Ella shrugged. "What choice do we have?" Another jolt shook the elevator, and Ella's heart raced again. Without thinking, she reached for the railing. Adrian instinctively moved closer, his presence steady and grounding. "You're not alone," he said firmly. "I promise." For the first time since the elevator stopped, Ella felt a sense of calm settle over her. She studied Adrian more closely. His suit was expensive, his watch subtle but clearly valuable, yet his voice carried no arrogance. There was something sincere about him. "Can I ask what you do?" she asked. He paused for a brief moment, then smiled faintly. "I work in business," he replied, "but tonight I'm just another person stuck in an elevator." Ella laughed softly. The sound surprised them both. In that confined space between floors and uncertainty, a connection quietly began to form, one neither of them expected and neither could yet understand. The elevator lights dimmed, settling into a faint emergency glow that painted the walls in soft, amber. Time felt suspended, as if the world outside had paused just for them. Ella sat on the floor with her back against the mirror, knees drawn close to her chest. Adrian remained standing nearby, giving her space while staying close enough to be reassuring. "I've never been stuck like this before," Ella admitted quietly. "I keep thinking about all the things that could go wrong." "That's normal," Adrian replied. "Fear grows in silence. Talking helps." She glanced up at him. "You sound like you've handled crises before." He smiled slightly, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. "Life has a way of putting you in difficult situations. You either panic or you learn to stay calm." To distract herself, Ella began talking about her childhood. Growing up in a small apartment with her mother, learning independence early, and discovering how unfair the world could be. Adrian listened without judgment, occasionally asking gentle questions that made her feel understood. "Rather than examined, I always thought success meant freedom," Ella said, "but the more I work, the more trapped I feel." Adrian leaned against the wall, folding his arms. "Success without purpose can feel like a cage." He said, "People chase money, titles, power, then wonder why they're empty." Ellis studied him closely. His words carried weight, as if they came from experience rather than theory. "You don't sound like someone who's struggling," she said carefully. He let out a soft laugh. "Everyone struggles, some just hide it better." The emergency phone crackled, but no clear voice came through. The silence returned deeper than before. Ella checked the time on her phone again. Still no signal. How long do you think we've been here? She asked. Adrian glanced at his watch. Maybe an hour, could be more. She groaned lightly. Great. My anxiety is officially clocking overtime. Without hesitation, Adrian sat on the floor across from her. Tell me something that makes you forget time. He said a dream, a goal. Ella hesitated, then smiled shyly. I want to open a small cafe one day. A cozy place, books, music, warm lights. Somewhere people feel safe. That sounds peaceful, Adrian said sincerely. Why a cafe? Because when life is hard, small comforts matter, she replied. A warm cup of coffee can change someone's whole day. Adrian's expression softened. You're right. People underestimate the power of simple things. They shared stories, laughter echoing gently inside the steel walls. The fear that once pressed against Ella's chest slowly loosened its grip. She forgot about the lack of signal, the stalled elevator, the ticking clock. For Adrian, the conversation felt unexpectedly real. No expectations, no boardrooms, no responsibilities, just two strangers sharing truths they rarely spoke aloud. As the emergency lights flickered again, Ella realized something startling. She wasn't afraid anymore, not of the elevator, not of the darkness, and not of the man sitting across from her, who felt less like a stranger with every passing minute. The air inside the elevator felt warmer, heavier, as if the walls themselves were listening. The emergency light flickered again, then stabilized. Ella shifted slightly, stretching her legs, unaware of how close she now sat to Adrian. The distance between them had quietly shrunk, not from movement but from comfort. You're surprisingly calm now, Adrian observed softly. Ella smiled. I think I got used to the idea that I can't control this situation. Fighting it only makes it worse. That's a powerful realization. He said most people spend their lives trying to control everything. A sudden clank echoed through the shaft, and the elevator trembled. Ella flinched instinctively. Reaching out, her fingers brushed Adrian's hand. Neither pulled away. The moment lingered longer than either expected. Charged with something unspoken. Sorry, Ella murmured. Don't be, Adrian replied quietly. Minutes passed in silence, but it was no longer awkward. It felt intimate, as though words were unnecessary. Adrian slipped off his suit jacket and gently placed it around Ella's shoulders. You must be cold, he said. She looked up at him, surprised by the tenderness of the gesture. Thank you, she whispered, feeling heat rise to her cheeks. The jacket smelled faintly of cedar and something comforting. The emergency phone suddenly crackled again. This time a distorted voice came through, confirming the technicians were working on the issue. Relief washed over Ella, but so did an unexpected sense of disappointment. So we'll be out soon, she said. Adrian nodded, but his expression was unreadable. Yes, soon. Ella hesitated, then asked, Can I ask you something personal? He met her gaze. You can ask. Earlier, you avoided talking about your work. Why? Adrian exhaled slowly, as if preparing himself. Because people treat me differently once they know, he said, and I didn't want that in here. Treat you differently? How? With expectations, assumptions, distance. Ella studied his face. I don't feel distant from you. He gave a faint, almost sad smile. That's why I enjoyed this. After a long pause, he continued, Ella, I'm the CEO of this building's parent company and several others. Her eyes widened. You're a millionaire. He corrected gently. Billionaire. The word hung between them. Heavy and sharp. Ella laughed once nervously. You're kidding. I wish I were. He said I came here tonight to escape meetings and decisions. I didn't expect this. Ella leaned back, processing the suit, the confidence, the wisdom. It all made sense now. But strangely, her feelings didn't change. I won't lie, she said. I'm shocked, but in here you weren't a CEO. You were just Adrian. His shoulders relaxed at her words. That means more to me than you know. Another mechanical sound echoed louder. This time the elevator lurched slightly, then steadied. We're moving, Ella said, heart racing. Adrian stood and offered her his hand. She took it without hesitation as the elevator began. Its slow descent. Both of them understood one thing clearly. Once those doors opened, everything would change. But neither of them was ready to let go of what they had found. In the dark, the elevator shuddered, a deep metallic groan echoing through the shaft. As it finally resumed movement, the faint glow of the emergency lights dimmed, replaced by the familiar hum of normal operation. Ella tightened her grip on Adrian's hand, feeling the warmth and steadiness that had become a quiet comfort. Neither spoke as the numbers ticked downward. Each floor a countdown to reality, to the world outside their small bubble. When the doors finally slid open, bright fluorescent light flooded the cabin. The contrast was almost blinding after the soft, amber glow that had enveloped them for hours outside. A few late-night cleaners and security guards glanced at them, curious but polite. A murmur of recognition passed through the room. As Adrian stepped forward, whispers followed him. Ella noticed the subtle bow of heads, the way some people instinctively straightened at his presence. She swallowed hard suddenly, acutely aware of the world's perception versus the private reality she had just shared. Adrian looked down at her, his usual composed expression softened by something more vulnerable. "It's different out here," he said quietly. "Out there I'm not just a man. I'm a symbol, a name, a reputation." Ella blinked, searching his eyes. "And in there?" she asked gently. "In there," he said, smiling faintly. "I was just Adrian, and that's who I want you to know." She smiled back, a mix of relief and anticipation warming her chest. "Then that's exactly who I want to know." For a moment the world outside seemed to vanish again, leaving just the two of them in a quiet bubble of shared understanding. People might see wealth, status, titles, but here, standing in a simple elevator lobby, they saw each other as equals. "Would you want to meet again?" Adrian asked carefully, his voice softer than usual, almost hesitant, without titles. "Without the public eye, just you and me." Ella felt her heart lift. She nodded, a small but sincere smile spreading across her face. "I'd like that." A gentle laugh escaped him. "Good, because I have a feeling this isn't the last time we'll be trapped together." In one way or another, they walked toward the exit together, hand in hand, stepping into the night air. The city's lights stretched endlessly above, a reminder of the busy world around them, but it no longer felt intimidating. The elevator had been a cage, but it had also been a catalyst, bringing two strangers together in a way nothing else could. Days passed and their connection only deepened. Phone calls turned into dinners, and dinners into long walks under starlit streets. Adrian's world of boardrooms, contracts, and power became secondary to the moments he shared with Ella. For her, the luxury and wealth were secondary too. It was his honesty, his humor, and the way he listened that mattered most. Their love story had started in confinement, between flickering lights and rising panic, yet it grew stronger in freedom, proving that the most meaningful connections aren't born of convenience or circumstance. They're born when two hearts meet, unguarded and open, and in that shared vulnerability, both Adrian and Ella discovered something neither had expected. Love could find them anywhere, even in a broken elevator, and flourish beyond the walls that once trapped them.